Let's start off with this, by the way. Jake Tapper retweeted this post by Republican Congressman Don Bacon, who called Joe Kent an anti-Semite. Good riddance.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
Iran has murdered more than 1,000 Americans. Their what is that? EFP landmines were the deadliest in Iraq. You know what was also deadly in Iraq? Al-Qaeda, which we then armed in Syria so we can topple Bashar al-Assad on behalf of Israel.
There's many more roadside bombs by our so-called allies, the Saudis. The Saudis killed us over and over again in Iraq, and there was no consequences because they bribed enough people in Washington, just like Israel.
Yeah, and by the way, there are some people in the audience who get mad at me when I talk about al-Shara in Syria being an Al-Qaeda terrorist. Get mad. Get mad. He fought our soldiers in Iraq. He tried to kill our soldiers in Iraq. There's no amount of rebranding you can do that'll convince me that that's a good guy that we should be supporting. Anyway, but let's move on. So that's what Don Bacon posted. Jake Tapper retweeted it because
No, hold on. He then said, you didn't read the last part, anti-Semitism is an evil I detest, and we surely don't want it in our government. What? Wait. So Don Bacon, that has taken $3.1 million from the Israeli lobby, says that it's anti-Semitic to point out that politicians might be controlled by the Israeli lobby. Do you see the level of lies here? So now to Jake.
Jake Tapper. Then he felt the need to just post on his own rather than retweeting. He says NCTC director Kent resigns over war in Iran. And as with some prominent MAGA commentators, blames the whole thing on Israel, all but absolving the president of the decision. It's notable how little agency certain folks give the most powerful elected official in the world. Look, to be honest with you, I know I disagree with Jake Tapper in that he thinks anyone who doesn't go along with Israel's wishes is an anti-Semite, but I don't have a problem with that particular post.
Oh, I have a huge problem with it.
Why? I mean,
because
I think he's
no.
Hold on.
Hold on, can I say why? The reason is, he says, yes, Trump has agency. That's true, that everybody knows that. We just discussed that earlier. But why is he posting this? He's posting it because he's like, not Israel, not my beloved Israel. Trump, it's Trump, it's Trump. Look away, it's Trump. It's definitely not Israel. Yeah, Jake, we're tired of it, man. I got it. You love Israel. Do you know Jake spent a year in Israel and has said over and over again how much he loves Israel, and it shows. So anytime Israel's in trouble, you can send Jake Tapper out to go, squirrel, Trump, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, whoever. Just please, not Israel. So obvious. Go ahead, Anna.
My favorite was Israeli insider Barak Ravid, who moonlights as a journalist over at Axios. I mean, the fact that this guy is treated as a serious journalist blows my mind. He worked for Israeli intelligence within the IDF. Okay, but he says this, important background, Joe Kent is considered a member of the populist wing of the Republican Party. Some would say the far right wing. His appointment sparked opposition from both the Democratic Party, which claimed he is racist and Islamophobic, and from senior figures in the Democratic and Republican parties who claimed he is anti-Israel.
Yeah. So I looked at Barak Ravid's timeline on X. First of all, half of it is in Hebrew. God knows what he's saying to the Israelis. And so yeah, he's also an Israeli reporter. Like, he doesn't hide it. He's Israeli, and he hides that. I don't know if he hides or doesn't hide that was part of IDF intelligence. But it's funny because
he does
they're like,
try to hide that. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you're part of IDF intelligence. We don't know if you're retired or not retired. Welcome to American media. You're perfect, right? And so he had reposted like multiple smears of Joe Kent. He's like, Joe Kent, bad, anti-Semite, terrible, how dare he? Objective reporter at Axios. You know whose objective is Matt Stoller. You saw his reply there saying, and the smear campaign starts.
That's right.
So there's a lot of these guys who are trying to smear Jewish Americans and go, hey, if you criticize Israel, that means you're criticizing all Jews. All Jews are responsible for all the terrible things Israel does. That is not remotely true. They spread anti-Semitism more than anyone in this country. Matt Stoller, for example, is a Jewish American. Glenn Greenwald had this brilliant conversation with Tucker Carlson yesterday, also Jewish American. And they actually care about America. They care about what's right. They care about all human beings. And so do not buy into the smears of these Israeli traitors, honestly, they're trying to like pretend that it's all Jews who agreed to this. No, you don't speak for all Jews. You just speak for your own country, which is Israel, and obviously not America.
But I saved the best for last, which was this post on Vox written by Zach Bootcamp titled, "A top Trump aide resigned over Iran. Liberals should stay away from him. Anti-war anti-Semitism is still anti-Semitism." Now in it, Zach talks about how you all know my feelings about the war in Iran. It's disastrous, I'm against it.
Sure.
Right, but it is worth noting that he does have some, I guess, there's a motivating factor here. So let me just read a few excerpts and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. He writes, the actual text of Kent's resignation letter suggests a very different conclusion, that he is not taking an admirable anti-war stance, but laying the groundwork for an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
Oh, get out of here, you loser. You're pathetic, man. Go ahead, Anna.
But laying the groundwork for an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that could define the future of the GOP. Kent's resignation should not be celebrated by principled critics of the Iran war, but rather serve as a cautionary tale for how a just cause could be hijacked by extremists to promote something awful. And then the final part that
yeah, you know what's awful, Zach? The Iran war and all the dead Americans because of beloved Israel. That's what's awful. But every time you go to criticize, oh, you're not criticizing it the right way. You have to be really gentle and not actually stop the war, actually fund the war and make sure the war goes on and on and on for Israel. Don't do it in the wrong way. And you're a liar, right? You're saying the Israeli lobby that spent $100 million, you're a progressive and you don't know that $100 million might affect politicians? You think it has no effect on those politicians? All those bribes? What a liar you are. What a preposterous liar you are. You're not against the war. As long as Israel pushes us into it, right? Please spare me. Go ahead, Anna. Tell us what more lies this guy said.
Kent's letter paints a picture of US foreign policy in the Middle East as being one giant Israeli conspiracy.
That's exactly what it is.
I know, Cenk. Just please let me, please, for the love of God, just relax. Let me get through this. The 2003 invasion of Iraq was, in his telling, not the result of US intelligence failures or post 9/11 rage or even neoconservative hubris. Rather, he says, it was the result of an Israeli lie. What exactly that lie was is never explained.
I can explain it.
Go
ahead, Anna.
No, go ahead, you explain it. Just get it out, go.
Okay, they told us that they got weapons of mass destruction. Where do we get that fake intelligence from, Zach? Oh, conveniently, we got it from Israel. What did Israel's prime minister say at the time? They said that Iraq was their #1 enemy and had to be taken out. And then you want to talk about lies, that Iraq didn't attack us on 9/11. Iraq hated Al-Qaeda and Saddam killed Al-Qaeda. So they lied to us on the two most important parts, that Iraq attacked us on 9/11 and that they had weapons of mass destruction. And where did those lies come from? They came from Israel. They wanted us to attack Iraq. And all of our media who totally work for Israel, apparently including you, came out and said, oh yeah, weapons of mass destruction. Oh, the general region where the Al-Qaeda guys came from. And guess what? When we went to war with Iraq, 70% of Americans thought that we were directly attacked by Saddam Hussein, because all of Israeli assets on television and in government told them, oh yeah, Iraq's our enemy, wink, wink, wink. No, as Israel's like, that's our number 1 enemy. You morons, go attack them. You know how many troops that Israel sent for that attack that they definitely wanted? Zero, because American lives are expendable. Israeli lives are precious.
Benjamin Netanyahu testified before Congress and said, if you take out Saddam, it'll stabilize the entire region. He said that, but that's not the only point of evidence. The other point of evidence is something known as the clean break. A clean break, a new strategy for securing the realm is a policy document that was actually authored back in 1996 by a group of neocons, okay? Richard Pearl was part of it, and they prepared it for Benjamin Netanyahu specifically, okay? This is all the way back in 1996. And the idea was to carry out regime change or to destabilize the following countries on behalf of Israel: Iraq, which we invaded in 2003, Lebanon, 2005, Libya, 2011, Somalia, 2012, Sudan, 2019, Syria, well, that went on for a while, but Assad was finally toppled in 2024. And then you have Iran, interesting. Now, how do we know about the clean break memo? Well, there are amazing authors who have shed light on it, but this is also really relevant. Here is General Wesley Clark describing the aims of the clean break strategy back in 2007.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the joint staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you gotta come in. You gotta come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
Is that an effing conspiracy? Is that an anti-Semitic conspiracy?
And not one of those countries did we have any American interest in. Like what, Somalia and Libya, what are we doing in Libya? But all of those were put on a list by Israel as people who were aiding and abetting the Palestinians, who they were crushing and oppressing and murdering. And they didn't want anyone to help the Palestinians. So they said to America, "Oh, you guys are really mad about 9/11? Here's 7 countries we hate and we want you to attack and destroy on our behalf." So the Palestinians are completely defenseless when we occupy them for the rest of the time and steal parts of Gaza and the West Bank, which is exactly what they're doing now. So spare us. Look, anyone, okay. So I'm just can't take it anymore. When you say, "Hey guys, these are very normal, rational things." When Big Pharma gives all this money to the politicians all of a sudden say we can't negotiate drug prices. And then we have people on the left, etc., that go, "Oh yeah, that's true, that's obviously true. That's not like an anti-pharmacist conspiracy theory, right?"
I love pharmacists.
Yeah, and then you say the same exact thing. I'm kidding, of course. Oh, Big Pharma, are we being racist against Big Pharma? But when you say it about Israel, and Israel, this cycle actually beat Big Pharma, which they don't normally do. And they were the #1 donors to Congress and gave $100 million. Overall, they've given billions of dollars. They've donated to 94% of Congress. And then people like Zach Beauchamp come around going, "Anti-Semite." But wait, Zach, is it true or not true? And wait, if it's true for Big Pharma, why isn't it true for the Israeli lobby? And they're like, "Shut up, shut up. You're gonna tell everybody it's Israel." That's right, Zach. We're gonna tell everyone it's Israel. You know why? Because it's Israel. And it's not Jewish Americans, and stop saying that. You're endangering Jewish Americans by constantly smearing them as if they agree with this genocide and this war that Israel pushed us into, Mossad and the IDF pushed us into, and all the bribes they give to dirty scum politicians, most of whom are not at all Jewish, okay? But they are scum. So the minute they were bribed by Big Pharma or oil or Israeli lobby, they said, "Yes, sir. Who can I murder for you on behalf of?" By the way, Big Pharma kills 70,000 Americans every year. The health insurance companies do by making sure that insurance is not public. So is that a conspiracy theory against health insurance companies? No, it's a stone cold fact. Our politicians are the worst people in America. They don't care about us at all. They sell us out to every lobby. But when you touch the Israeli lobby, all of a sudden, all of Washington comes down on you and goes, oh, cancel them. They're anti-Semites. They should never be allowed to speak against our beloved Israel. But we don't control anything. We don't control anything. Okay, all of you, coincidentally, all over cable news, all over mainstream media, attack Joe Kent saying a perfectly reasonable and obvious thing out of coincidence? No, you did it to smear him on behalf of your beloved, beloved Israel. And the American people are absolutely sick of it. So there you go. So by the way, next time you call us names, we call you names, and then you can go and get offended and cry in a goddamn corner as you send one American after another in a coffin after coffin after coffin because Israel can't be bothered to fight their own wars. I hope the Israeli lobby is utterly destroyed in this country and has no power at all. Oh, is that anti-Semitic? No, if you don't allow Israel to control American government, you're an anti-Semite, right? Right? Okay, I can't stand these people. And by these people, I mean corrupt sons of bitches who demand that we die for Israel. That's a different country. Americans, rise up, rise up. Rise up against your scum politicians and your scum national media who demand obedience to Israel. America doesn't kneel.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.